Hey, MotoAmerica fans, this is Paul Carruthers. I'm the communications manager for MotoAmerica, and this is our weekly podcast Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. I'm Carruthers, and we've also got Bice on the line. And today we have a special guest calling from a coffee shop in Houston, Texas, Garrett Gerloff.
Yes, sir.
We'll check in with Garrett here in a second. Sean, how's it going back there in Ohio?
Oh man, I am so ready to kick 2020's ass and just say, get the hell out of here and let's go on to 2021, right? Cannot wait for the new year.
Yeah, I think everybody's excited. I just hope they're not overly excited because I don't think it's not going to strike midnight and then suddenly the world's a better place, you know? So it's going to take a little while, but it obviously gives everybody, you know, every time there's New Year's, it gives you new hope and hoping for better things in the coming year. And I mean, put it this way, it couldn't get much worse. So I think we've only got better in store for us.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's going to get there. I mean, we've got a full schedule like we announced recently, and that was great to have that news out. And now hopefully we can stick to it and get it. You know, we've heard the early ticket sales have been really strong. So it's great that the fans are recognizing that we've got a season coming up and wanting to, you know, get their tickets to get out and see our great riders in our series. So
yeah, and we're even going back to Brainerd, Minnesota.
Unbelievable. I mean, you know, there's some of the people I've talked before about the fact that I get texts a lot from Steve Scheibe, who lives in Michigan, but he's kind of that part of the country, and I think he tests or he knows Brainerd pretty well. He was super excited about that. And, you know, he was real excited about the photo that Brian J got to you, Paul, that you used in the story with Miguel leading the race in the VR 1000, which he almost won that race. But I guess he thought he had a bigger lead or less of a lead than he had. And he overcooked the turn and went off the track towards the end. You probably remember that race, but God, he almost won that on that Harley, which is funny at that track.
Yeah, it's Brainerd. I have a lot of good memories from there. It was always kind of fun to go there. It's kind of a resort, honeymoon type town. And, you know, there's obviously lakes because there's lakes everywhere there. And it's a popular place, I think, for honeymoons and weddings and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I always liked the track. I mean, it was a bit sketchy then, but obviously with the changes, it's going to be safe for our guys. So it's always fun to go somewhere new.
I wanted to ask you, ironically, so before AMA, the AMA series ever raced there, you know, I think, well, they had 3 World Superbike events, which is interesting that we have Garrett on this podcast. Were you there when they had the World Superbike races there?
Yeah, I think I went to one of them. God damn, I'm so old.
Yeah, and that's not when Raymond Roach broke the fingers of his feet. That was it.
No, that was a quote I got from him. That was in Europe, but I think that was on a 500.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, because he raced both. Yeah.
But yeah, well, let's bring Gerloff in. I'm going to talk briefly about him, but I mean it's kind of ridiculous because everybody knows. But he obviously had his rookie season in World Superbike this year, and he finished 11th in the championship. He had 3 podiums, including a second place in Portugal. And had things started off for him as we thought they would because it's just not easy. So he started off slowly, but I think he took his time. He didn't do anything stupid, and he just progressed as the season went on and obviously ended the season the way that, you know, again, it's like nobody remembers anything but your last race or your last couple of races. So he did it perfectly because now he goes into next year probably as one of the favorites to, if not challenge for the world championship, at least win races and be a consistent podium finisher. So he did everything that we would have hoped he would do. He represented MotoAmerica really well. He always speaks highly of MotoAmerica. When I read his interviews, he mentions MotoAmerica, which is awesome because it helps us a lot to get some international recognition. And yes. And between him and Cameron now going to Moto2, and we have Joe in Moto2, it's like Wayne Rainey's plan is actually like starting to work and bear fruit. So it's going to be fun to watch. We'll have some early mornings getting up and watching all these races, but it's going to be cool to have people we cheered for. I know it gave me some renewed interest in World Superbike with Garrett there because, you know, we followed everything that he did. So I'm excited for next year, as I'm sure he is. So Garrett, we're sorry we interrupted your bicycle ride, but I see you're drinking coffee, so everything's good.
Life is great right now. No worries. I mean, it's looking like it's gonna downpour on the way back, but besides that, everything's going great.
Well, don't blame us for that. Okay, you've got to be living your best life right now, right?
I mean, I'm doing the best I can to. So it's so nice to be home and see friends and family, and just to have all of my stuff. You know, like I have my dirt bikes here. I got my bicycles. I got, you know, my vehicle and everything, and it's definitely, life is easier for me here than it is in Europe at the moment. So I'm trying to fix that, but yeah. Anyway, it's been nice being home, real nice.
Garrett, are you going to bring some more stuff over? I mean, are you going to try to bring, you know, big stuff? I don't even know how you do that. Can you transport anything?
No, I think the best way to do it is just to buy stuff over there and then sell it whenever you're done.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
That's what I've been trying to work on slowly. But I'm finally a resident of Andorra, which is like a country in between Spain and France over there. So that's pretty exciting. So I now have the opportunity to actually acquire some stuff. So I'm gonna try to work on that whenever I get back over there.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
That's when you know you're rich. It's when you start moving to places like Andorra.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds exotic just to hear the name.
Yeah.
I wish. I wish. It was just what I had to do to you know, be able to stay over there. And especially with all the virus stuff, it's not easy to move back and forth, you know. So yeah, it was just what I had to do to be able to stay there.
There's also a cool little community of other racers there, right? I mean, when I look at Instagram, I can't tell you off the top of my head who they are, but I mean, there's guys like Bradley Smith, for example. There's a bunch of guys that seem to be there, and it give you a lot of friends and people to train with. Yeah,
there's a ton. There's more than 40 riders that live there, from Moto3, Moto2, MotoGP, and World Superbike. So it's crazy. It's packed, which is really nice because there's a bunch of riders close and we can do stuff. And I've already been doing that a little bit because I was there before I came back to Texas. So I was trying to kind of, you know, situate myself a little bit and figure out how things work. But the only negative about being up there is that it's really freaking cold, and I'm not a cold guy. So, but besides that,
it's cold in Andorra. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's up in the mountains.
Oh, is there snow?
Oh yeah.
No
It's
kidding.
like a ski resort country.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's supposed to be nice. I haven't been there. Did you get a second bedroom for Cameron?
I do have a second bedroom. He can stop by. Joe can stop by. You know, anybody can. Besides you, Paul, anybody can stop by and come hang out.
Hey, my plan is to get over there. If we can get this virus thing sorted out, my plan is to try to come over there for a race or two and try to tie two of them together, you know, like MotoGP and World Superbike somehow.
Man, you're going to have to find a contact to get you some tickets if you come.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think. There's got to be somebody there I know. I just can't think of who.
That's right.
Oh, man. I know you got contacts.
Yeah, I got some. I still got some left.
Just a few.
Hey, Garrett, I want to give a shout out to the person that's sitting at the table with you, Caleb DeCarroll. You know, you talk about your place in Spain, and I think Paul's probably seen the video too, but Caleb did a nice job when he went over there and gave us some insight into where you're living. It's funny, that place, if you're still in the same place, and I assume you are, the view is unbelievable, but the place kind of felt to me like almost like a college dormitory a little bit. Did you get that impression too, initially?
Wait, my apartment?
Yeah, it felt like it was kind of, you know, just the way it's set up, because like you had a balcony and you looked out. It just felt like, and you're saying there's like 40 riders in that area.
Dang, Sean.
Do a lot of them live in places like your place?
Man, I mean, I don't know, honestly, but I'm getting a little sad right now. Talking down to me like that.
A college dormitory is not a bad thing, dude.
No, it doesn't sound good in my head.
Hey, Garrett,
no, listen,
Garrett, I think he saw the keg.
Caleb, what are you doing? Quit telling people about that.
Well, to be honest with you, it was early days, I think, when Caleb was over there, and he didn't have a lot of stuff in place at the time. And you had mentioned that you don't have a lot of your stuff over there. So I think that's maybe what I was getting at, is for a little while, it was fairly stark in there. And is it still that way, or have you started to get like some more furniture and stuff than you did when
now he's backtracking.
Nah, no, I don't, you know, furniture costs too much money, so I just prefer just, you know, I just have my bed up there and that's about it. So no worries. That's more money for tires and bikes.
There you go. So here's something I've been dying to ask you. The fact that you, you know, have lived for a long time in Texas, are a Texan, and you speak pretty fluent Spanish, and you like Mexican food, which I know is different than Spanish food. But I want to ask you, it's probably a strange land for you, but maybe not quite as much. You're able to speak to people a little bit, I would assume. Is it a pretty big departure for you to be over there? And you know, obviously comfort's important to you doing well. So is it feeling more comfortable for you now?
Yeah, definitely. No, I have a lot of like a lot of friends over there. I mean, there's a lot of other racers that live close too, you know, so it's hasn't been that difficult. And yeah, me speaking Spanish has really been a big help when I'm in a situation where nobody speaks English, which happens a decent amount. So that's all been super nice, but it doesn't feel that foreign to me at all. Like the first time I went over there last year in November, it felt weird, but I didn't have anything either. Like I didn't have an apartment, I didn't have nothing like that. So I was just in a hotel, and it definitely felt foreign. But then once I started kind of getting things sorted out, it just feels like another place, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like home, but it just feels like another place, you know? So
Right.
It hasn't been that bad. And I've really enjoyed it, just to see a different part of the world, be involved in a different culture. And it's been really cool.
Do we want to talk about motorcycles or not?
Well,
I was hoping so.
a little bit, but we got
Yeah,
to get our bearings on where he is. So
Now he wants to talk about it since he's a star.
that's right.
Oh.
Hey, so I got a couple of questions for you about motorcycle racing.
All right, shoot.
Looking back at your first year in World Superbike, was it harder than you thought, easier than you thought, or about what you thought it would be like?
I mean, I would say, I don't know, in the beginning it was way harder than I thought it would be. But toward the end, when things were just happening easier than I thought they would. So it was kind of like a weird extreme, one to the other. And so it was just trying to adapt to everything. And also, like, it's not that I had bad habits in MotoAmerica, but I just you have to ride a different way over there, with the tracks, with the tires, and with the way the bikes work. And so it was definitely, for a second, it took a while to just adapt to how I had to ride. And you know, you're not really comfortable when you're learning, and that doesn't help either. But just one of those things, you just have to work through it and get to a place to where I just keep focusing on making small progress. You know, find something to measure yourself off of, you know, whether it's another rider or something, and just try to make progress towards, you know, where you want to be. And that's just what I had to do. And I was for sure disappointed in the beginning when results weren't happening as quickly as I wanted them to, but then it started to come together at the end.
But it was kind of the same way when you started at MotoAmerica and Superbike. It probably didn't come as quickly as you thought it would then, but once it starts, it gets easier, like you said, and you just go on a roll.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just, I guess it's just me. But,
maybe you're just a really slow learner, Garrett. You might want to try something else.
Yeah, I might want to try something else. I mean, I guess it is one of those things though, that once I kind of get it down, I have the muscle memory kind of thing.
Right.
But I mean, I just don't give up, and I know I want to do this, and I just want to see, you know, how far I can go with racing, and so I definitely motivates me a ton. And when I'm not doing well, I'm even more motivated to figure it out, you know, to get out of that place, out of that rut. So that's just that was just another step. But I'm glad I got it done.
Is there one thing that you learned this year, like that you'd classify like, okay, that was like the most important thing I learned from the whole season?
Yeah, the most important thing I learned was just how hard you can brake over there with the Pirelli front tire, especially. I remember the first few tests, I was getting blown by in the braking areas, just because it's just a different. The front just has more grip to me than I had in MotoAmerica for whatever reason, and those guys break so late. And so that was something that I really had to kind of adjust to. And that took a decent amount of time. But then once I kind of figured it out, it just came way more easy. But that's definitely something they do really well over there. And so I had to really adapt to that. And that was really kind of difficult because, you know, it's to go another 50 meters later on the brakes, it's significant. So it takes some time to get your brain wrapped around it.
You know, Garrett, that sounds to me like that harkens back a little bit to your earlier days of riding when you were riding two strokes without engine braking and you had to go deeper in the corners. Did it remind you of that? I mean, that was a few years ago, but does that make sense, that connection?
I mean, no, I was just looking at it like, man, these guys are going way deeper than me, and I gotta figure out how to do that also. I mean, it was obvious in the data and stuff, but it didn't really remind me of two strokes and stuff because those, they don't have a lot of engine braking. You kind of maybe have to brake a little bit earlier in the first place. So it was kind of the exact opposite of that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking, no, what about corner speed? Are you carrying more corner speed in World Superbike than you did with us?
I would say I am kind of guilty of still trying to carry more corner speed when those guys aren't. Or I'm still not riding exactly how I need to ride because they're able to carry a lot of corner speed and they open the throttle later than me. But then they have a better exit. I think I just touched the throttle too early and spin, which has been obvious a couple times this year in the races. And that's something I need to work on, is just being a little bit more patient, opening the throttle. So that's probably the number one thing I'm going to have to keep working on.
How good is, I mean, you've obviously ridden with him and raced with him. Johnny Ray's pretty damn good, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. They're all world-class guys over there. I mean, even in the beginning of the year when I was back in the back a little bit, those guys are world-class racers. And then once I started moving toward the front, those guys are world-class, and it's definitely a deep field. It seems to me like one of the deepest fields that there's been in a while.
Yeah, I agree.
So not easy.
Hey, Garrett, have you talked to your new teammate Kota Nozani much, or do you know, what do you think of him so far?
Yeah, no, he seems like a really nice guy. His English is definitely not super great, so we haven't really been able to talk because he doesn't really understand me. But he had a translator there, and I was kind of speaking to him through the translator. But he seems like a nice guy, and it's funny when I hear them talking and stuff. They're really they exaggerate a lot with how they talk. I think it's just it's cool, it's different. But when they say yes, they're like, "Hi, hi," And so I'll hear him talking to his translator across the garage. And when the lady, I assume, is asking like, "Hey, is it doing this and this?" and he's just like, "Hi," but I hear it all the way over from my side of the garage, and it's it makes me smile. So no, he seems like a good guy, and he's got a cool style. So I'm looking forward to racing with him.
Yeah, he does look good on the bike. Okay, so what happened to the old teammate? Where does that poor kid go?
Federico, yeah, it's just it's a strange deal, but it's just it's just business at the end of the day. I mean, I think in the beginning it was a toss up between which one of us would go, and then toward the end of the season when I was able to get better results, it kind of swung in my favor to stay around. But yeah, for a while it seemed like it could have been either one of us that ended up leaving, but. It's just, I think it just one of those things where Kota needed a ride because he had a 2-year contract in Japan or something. I'm not sure exactly how things worked out or why, but I have a new teammate this year, and I definitely, feel for Federico because I think he was riding really well also, and I was hoping to see him on another team in a World Superbike paddock. But he's I think he did finally sign with a World Supersport team, so. It'll be nice that he's still there and stuff, but I definitely think he deserved more than this crazy year to figure things out.
Okay, so this is the second time you were sort of put in that position, because back in the Supersport days here, it was obvious that you and JD were racing for that Superbike ride, and then here you find yourself back in a similar situation. you're probably kind of looking forward to just settling in now with a ride that you've established and you've kept, and not have to worry about that crap anymore.
Oh no, it's a yearly thing. It's nothing. It never goes away. But that's how the job is. You know, it's you're based on your performances. So there's no time to relax and no time to get comfy. I mean, I just want to do the best that I can, and I want to earn whatever spot I have every year. You know, I don't want to rest on my laurels, because that's when you get kicked out real quick.
You know, let's explore that a little bit more too, because this year, with everything that transpired, you know, you think, oh man, it's Garrett's first year there. You know, he's got to figure some things out. But at the same time, you really had to step up and prove yourself. While it was going on, did you realize sort of the gravity of the situation, or what you had to do at each step along the way in order to get where you are? Or did you look back at it afterwards and go, man, I'm glad I did what I did, because here I am, and I wouldn't have been if it hadn't been that way? Well, how did you approach that whole thing? Did you realize the challenge was there, I guess, is what I want to know.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I knew that it could have been my last year racing, realistically. You know, that was one of the options, you know, is that, hey, if things don't go well, like, you know, I might be done potentially. But it's just one of those things you gotta recognize, and then, you know, think about it and decide if it's something you really want to try to do or not. And for me, that's always been my goal, is just to push myself and just to see, all right, you know, where could I end up? Because I never imagined myself ending up in the Superbike ride in America. You know, I've never really seen myself as I haven't seen myself as the guy, quote unquote. So it's just crazy to see how things have have gone, and I would not have regretted it either way, even if things didn't work out this year and I was stuck without an opportunity to continue. I wouldn't have regretted it, because I've learned so much this year, just about so many things in general, about me, about just life, about my career and racing, and it's been just a really, really good eye-opening experience. And so even if things didn't work out, it still would have been, you know, okay. And so, no, I mean, for sure, I knew there was a challenge there. And after the first test, I realized it was a really big challenge. But that's what makes life interesting, you know. If you never push, if you're never uncomfortable, then you just never grow, you know. And so that's one thing I've learned over the years. And it's nice just to put yourself out there, just to put yourself just right there on that ledge, and just find out if you're gonna you know, fly or not. So yeah, that's kind of what motivates me to keep going.
Okay, let's fast forward a little bit more to the end of the season and getting the opportunity to ride Valentino Rossi's M1. How the hell did you do that with such success?
That's what I mean. Like, how crazy is that? That was weird.
Yeah, I would have peed myself in my leathers before I even got on the bike.
Oh, trust me, I was close. I was shaking before I went out. I mean, that was well, I guess I kind of have to explain what happened. I didn't know that was going to happen until the Monday before the race. And I found out on Monday, like, hey, this might happen, knowing that maybe in 2 days I had to leave to be there. So it was definitely a tight timeline. And, you know, Rossi had tested positive again, so they weren't sure if he was going to have 2 negative tests, which is what he needed in order to race during the weekend. And so they brought me in as just a possible fill-in guy. And from Monday until Thursday night, or really, no, from Monday until Friday morning, it was back and forth. Yes, you're riding. No, you're not riding. Yes, you're riding. No, you're not riding. So it was just the most difficult thing ever mentally to figure out how to approach everything, because 1 minute you're going to ride and you need to be ready for that. And then the next minute you're not riding. And then it's like, okay, well, you know, it was definitely a difficult situation. I didn't know I was actually going to ride the bike until an hour before FP1 on Friday morning. So, you know, just imagine, I went there on Friday. They had told me the night before I was not going to ride. And so, like, I came into Friday kind of not really expecting it to be on the bike. And then at the last second, hey, you're riding, suit up, you know? And it was just like a scramble to get myself mentally ready and everything. But, I mean, I had never been to Valencia. I had never ridden a MotoGP bike, let alone in the rain. No, it was a lot of stuff. And they kept telling me how expensive everything on the bike was. That was something I remember pretty clearly. So, you know, it was definitely, and I had Valentino's crew around me, and it's Valentino's bike, and, you know, maybe he's going to be ready for Saturday, so they don't want to, you know, destroy the bikes and stuff. And yeah, there was a lot going through my head, but, you know, once the helmet goes on, you kind of just have to tune it all out. And I did the best I could to do that. And man, it was just such a crazy experience. And yeah, it's like one of those things, like, man, I can't believe I even got that opportunity, but like, I'm just so glad that I was over there in the spot to be able to do that, you know, like that's ridiculous. Like last year, MotoAmerica, and this year I got to ride Rossi's bike. Like, how does that happen?
Right.
Crazy.
It's unreal. What was it easier to ride than you thought it would be?
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard to say because I never got a dry session. So that would have made things a lot more clear, but just riding in the rain wasn't too bad. The tires were so good in the rain. And then the electronics were also really good, but it was just trying to get a feel for the carbon brakes in the rain. That was, it was impossible because I just, the only way, you know, when you've gone too far on the front in the rain when you crash, and that's not what I wanted to do. So it was really hard to find the limit for me, but the session went okay. And then in the second session, we had dries on, but half the track was wet still. And so like, I never got a chance to really try to push the limit in like a controlled way, I guess. Like if it was all dry, it would have been a lot easier to figure out kind of what was going on with the bike. But with half the track being wet, you don't really know, you know, where the limit on the track is. So it was, yeah, it was a little bit challenging, but it was not too bad to ride. The shifting was incredible. The brakes were incredible in that second session. And the tires were super good. And yeah, it's a full-on race bike. And that was, it was really nice to get that experience.
Did you get to change the setup at all, Garrett? I mean, just simply the bars and the rear sets to your way it fits you, or did you just have to jump on what Valentino uses?
I could have changed some stuff, but honestly, I sat on the bike and it felt pretty good right away. I just changed like the shifter height, but nothing else. I didn't really feel like I needed to change anything else. So it was easy for the crew guys and for me. And and then yeah, I just jumped on it. So
yeah. Now, there's something I want to mention here, and it sounds like I'm name dropping, and I'm really not. But after this whole thing, or actually while it was going on, I was communicating a little bit with Ben Spies on this, and I know Ben had some involvement in getting you involved in it. And he said he was talking to Lynn Jarvis in the pit box, and Lynn was holding you back, and Ben was trying to get him to say, let him go out and do some laps. But did you hear about that? I mean, I'm sure Ben told you that, right?
Lynn was trying to hold me back from riding the bike?
Yeah, he was trying to have you come back in after only a couple of laps, and Ben was trying to convince him to let you go out and ride around more, I guess in the rain and stuff. Like he didn't give you as many laps as Ben thought you should have had, and maybe as you would have liked to have had, is kind of what Ben told me. Do you think that's the story?
I didn't hear anything about that. I felt like I did a decent amount of laps. I think I almost ran the bike out of gas. So
okay.
You know, I think it was pretty fair.
In the wet session too, though, because it was the wet that he was wondering about, I think, from what he said.
Yeah, honestly, I can't really remember, but I felt like I did a decent amount of laps, so I was happy. Even just a couple laps would have been nice for me.
All right, the other thing I want to ask you, well, two things on this. So we saw the photo of you with Valentino. I got two questions here. One of them, we're sitting there and wondering, like, what exactly is Valentino saying to you, and what were you saying to him? How does that even go? What's the conversation? Can you tell us what was happening?
Yeah. Everybody's been asking me about that.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy, but when I first came in, he was like, "Oh, thank you for not crashing my bike." And I was like, "Yeah, you got it, man." But besides that, I mean, he was just saying like, you know, he was kind of critiquing me in a way, because we were looking at the data when that picture was taken. We were all around the computer looking at data and stuff, looking at lines, and he was saying like, "Oh, you could have done this better." And I mean, it was pretty cool to have that kind of instructor, you know. That's one of the few guys I would let critique me. So yeah. It was, but that was about it. And then after that, you know, he got his bike back, and that was that.
and I've said it before, and it's not anything against you, but in a way I sort of thought it was perfect. That you had some bad weather that got a little bit better, but not completely dry. And I think it was almost kind of better that you didn't get the chance to race it. I know you would have liked to, but it also kind of, I think you gave them a little bit of taste of Garrett Gerloff, and it left them wanting more. Whereas if you would have raced it, maybe you would have made a mistake or done something else that wouldn't have worked out as well. So I just think the whole scenario worked out perfectly for Garrett Gerloff.
In the end, I think it worked out really well. I mean, if the weekend would have kept going and I was able to keep riding the bike, maybe things wouldn't have gone as well, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe things would have gone way better than expected. Also, is another possibility that I'll throw out there. But but no, I think it worked out as good as it could have, and they all seemed pretty happy, and they gave me the whole team signed the little pit box thing they stick on the grounds in front of the garages. They all signed that and gave it to me and stuff. And no, it was really cool. I don't think it could have gone any better. No.
Now, from everything I read and listened to and saw after that, I mean, you did so well on that day that, like, you will actually be considered for MotoGP ride. I mean, is that amazing to you that's happened in such a short period of time?
Yeah, like I said, life's crazy. I mean, you got to live for the adventure, and it might be scary in the beginning, but if you don't take the chance, you never know what might happen, And so I think that was just like that really cemented that in my head. Like, if you never jump, then you'll never know how high you can go, kind of thing, And and it is crazy in 1 year just to see how different things, or how just different things were, because last year riding in MotoAmerica with Cameron and Tony and Matthew and Josh and everybody, you never know if, like, all right, is this the highest that I'm gonna go, kind of thing. And it's really cool just to see that pay off a little bit, that risk, taking that risk, and yeah.
It's amazing that, they say timing is everything. It's funny because I heard somebody the other day, I can't remember who it was, told me that's like, when they pray, they don't pray for material things necessarily, but they pray for good timing. And if you think about it, that makes a lot of sense, because if you were just granted, if you had some 3 wishes and one of them was to have good timing, it would certainly help with most everything.
That is pretty true. Yeah. All the material stuff, it comes and goes, but the experiences, you keep those, Yeah. So that's kind of, that's where I put all my eggs in that basket, the experience.
Hey, so I want to go back to that photo we were talking about, the one where Rossi's there, because the other thing that I was delighted about in that photo is, if you look carefully and look in the back, there's Nicola Canepa behind you, and we had just had him at Laguna Seca racing in place of Matthew Skoltz a couple days before that, and we knew he had involvement in that team and had some advisement that he provides. But what was his role? Did you talk to him when he was there, and did he give you any wisdom, or what was going on?
Oh yeah, no, he's been helping me a ton in the World Superbike paddock, and so I called him as soon as Yamaha called me, and I was like, hey, can you get a flight to Valencia? Like, I need your help, and so he came for me, and it was awesome. He helped a lot, just because he knew a lot of the guys on the team. He spoke Italian, and so it was really nice to have somebody there to kind of bring me in to the team, more so than I could have done by myself. And also he's really been helping a lot with filming stuff and kind of just being eyes on whenever we're at the World Superbike races. And for me, I'm like a visual guy. I can look at data and stuff, but and kind of get an idea of what I need to do, but sometimes it doesn't add up without kind of seeing it. And so having some video and stuff has been really key this year. And so he did some of that for me also with the MotoGP stuff. And that was really good. So yeah, it was nice having kind of just a guy there to help me out, and only me out, because I definitely needed it.
Well, it's surprising because, we spent a lot of time, I personally talked to him a lot during the weekend at Laguna Seca, having him with the Westby team. And, they had him in there for exactly that reason. So he could give some feedback on the bike, which he did. And he confirmed a lot of the same things that, Matthew feels about the settings on the bike and everything. So that was nice for Matthew. But it was good to have him there. And, in the times I was talking to him, I mentioned to him about, Cameron and about you and stuff, but he really didn't say too much other than that. But, I suppose the language barrier is a little different, even though he's very fluent in English. But I didn't realize that he had that much involvement with you. But that's really cool, Garrett. Did he say anything to you about what his experience at Laguna Seca?
Yeah, he really enjoyed himself there. He loves Laguna, so to have the opportunity to go there, he was super excited about that. And he said everybody on the Westby team was super professional, and the bike was really good. It took him a second to kind of get used to the Dunlops, he told me. But in general, he really had a good time there, and he loves the U.S. and so he had nothing but positive things to say about it.
That's cool.
Okay, so Garrett, you got to be pumped that your buddy Cameron got his deal to go over there.
Yeah, I am super pumped. I had heard rumors that he was trying to get into World Superbike, and I had my fingers crossed that maybe he could do that. But then in the end, to get straight into the GP paddock is pretty special too, So no, I respect Cameron a ton, and I look up to him, and I think he's really talented, and I'm sure that he'll go over there and do really well, put MotoAmerica on the map also, and just the testing times, it seems like he was right there,
Yeah,
so,
I think he did pretty well. Now,
so I'm definitely excited to see what they can do alongside Joe, or with Joe.
I have this feeling that we're going to get 1, 2, or maybe 3 guys in MotoGP out of this eventually.
I hope so. I hope I'm one of those guys. That would be awesome. I definitely want to ride the bike again. So, no, I'll be raising my hands for any opportunity I can get.
Yeah, and when you get to that point, that's when I'll know if I'm still good for getting passes.
All right, deal.
Well, Sean, do you got anything else for him, or are we going to let him go?
No, I always have a couple. I've got three that I want to ask Garrett real quick, because it's been a little while since I could talk to him, and he's my guy. So Garrett, one of the things I want to ask you is, and I asked Cameron about this too. I think you, with what your ride on Rossi's bike, you kind of showed something. I didn't know if the pathway to MotoGP is best to go through Moto2, because you kind of see how there's not a lot of back and forth in World Superbike. I mean, Johnny Ray, you kind of wonder why he hasn't gone to MotoGP at this point. I know there are a lot of reasons for that, but I think with what you did, there is a connection there, and maybe it's either way. Do you think that with your World Superbike, what you're doing and the fact that you got this ride, that you have a pathway, or as long as you keep doing well, ultimately you could get into MotoGP? And what do you think about Cameron's pathway through Moto2?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any direct pathway. I mean, you can not end up there either way also, it doesn't, I think that the best pathway is the one you make. And so, my goal is just to do the best that I can with whatever I'm doing. And hopefully that brings me forward in some capacity, So I don't think there's not a magic way to get there, but you just show that you're motivated, you show that you're determined, and you just give it all you got and just see where you can end up. I think that's the best thing that you can do. And also I've learned, don't ask for opportunities unless you've really earned them. That's something I feel like is worth saying.
So, I know the pathway. Do you want me to tell you?
What is it?
Winning.
You kick everybody's ass no matter where you are.
Right.
Well, wait, what is it? What?
You kick everybody's ass no matter what you're racing.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely a big key.
Hey Garrett, two other things I want to. So I'm going to go back to Daytona a few years ago. We had Keith McCarty on a couple weeks ago, and as you know, he's retiring at the end of this year. And we talked to him a little bit about. I had taken a photo in the pit box of him sort of kneeled down in front of you and Cameron for the Daytona 200. That was the year that Cameron won it, and you were second. And I asked him, what was he saying to you? Because he looked like a coach going, okay, everybody look at me because I'm the coach. Do you recall that moment? And do you remember anything that he said to you before you went out for that race?
Man, that was so long ago. Honestly, I can't really remember, but I'm sure he was telling us good luck and go have fun and go kick some ass, something like that. So he's always been super encouraging, and that's been awesome.
Yeah, I know it was a while ago, but I mean, like I say, that photo I really cherish because it just to see you guys and the way it ended up with you both being 1 and 2 that year was pretty cool too. The other person I want to ask you about is another teammate of yours who was on our podcast last week, and that's Scott Russell, who I know is your teammate on the Go Pivot cycling team. And when we had a little bit of video at the beginning of this podcast before we set it up, we saw that you were wearing your cycling kit. Talk to us about the Go Pivot cycling team a little bit, because if I don't ask you about this, Tim Robinson, who helped to get you on this podcast, would be kind of upset, and I want to make sure he's happy with us. So tell us about what you do. And you actually have been riding side by side with Scott Russell recently, correct?
Yeah, not recently per se, but this year and last year and the year before that. So
okay.
No, it's an awesome team. It's just a group of riders, And cycling for us is key for any type of motorcycle racing because we use our legs a ton riding the bike, and so we definitely want to have strong legs, like a strong core. And cycling does a really good job of getting your legs up to snuff, And the races now for me are 40 minutes there and thereabout, and the heart rate's through the roof, and so cycling definitely has a lot of benefits. And so no, it was awesome to be picked up by Tim and the Go Pivot cycling team, and by Giant Bicycles, Giordana Kits, and Shimano, and everybody. It's a really nice program that they put together, and to have somebody like Scott Russell as one of our teammates, quote unquote, is so cool. We got the Chief on the sleeve, Yeah. And it's been really cool. We've done a lot of fun stuff as a team. We've gone to Park City, Utah. We've gone to the North Georgia mountains and did Six Gap, and we went out to Santa Barbara, I think, or Santa Clarita, or somewhere out in California, and did a big 100-mile ride that we only made 70 miles of. but no, it's been really cool just to have a group of racers that get together and go try to kick each other's asses. It makes training just that much more fun and enjoyable.
And then the other question I've got is, when you're in Spain and you'll be heading back over there, I understand maybe at the end of January, you can confirm that and let us know what your schedule is coming up. But the one thing I want to ask you, among 40 some riders that you are around over in Andorra, who do you hang out with the most as far as a rider who we would know by name?
I mean, it kind of just depends. I mean, for the most part, I'm with my trainer, Aleix Santacreu. He's the guy that I spend the most time with. He kind of plans everything, and we cycle and mountain bike. Lately, we've been doing like some cross country skiing over there and whatnot. So he kind of trains us and plans my week a little bit. So I spend most of my time with him, but also I've gotten to be decent friends with John McPhee, and he lives not too far from me in Andorra. But then there's a couple other guys that I've done some stuff with, but that's the nice thing about having so many riders out there, is that on any day you can ring any of them up and end up doing something for training, and so yeah.
That's really cool.
All right, Sean, let's let him get back to his bicycle and his coffee.
Yeah, man, my legs are locking up over here.
Yeah, that's going to be hard getting back on the thing. You might have to call Uber.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I appreciate you taking the time. You've made us all proud this year, and we expect big things from you, and we get them. So again, thanks for that. Thanks for all you do for MotoAmerica and joining us on this podcast and doing whatever else we ask you to do. So that's always appreciated. And you've got a bed here in Southern California whenever you make it out. So.
Man, I appreciate it. No, thanks, guys. I miss everybody back in MotoAmerica, and I wish you guys the best 2021. And yeah, I try to shout out MotoAmerica as much as possible, because without that platform to show what I can do, I wouldn't have been able to get where I am now. So MotoAmerica has been huge. All you guys have been huge, and appreciate the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for being on with us, Garrett. And I just want to close out by saying to everybody, so we're just about at the end of the year 2020 here, and we've recently announced our schedule for the year. We've got Brainerd on the schedule, as Paul announced and or mentioned, and we're going back to Laguna Seca. We're gonna try to go to Coda at the beginning of the year, and hopefully things work out. And we've got a lot of options for you guys this year in terms of, you know, tickets to the races. You can go on our website, MotoAmerica.com, and click on the tickets that are available and purchase those tickets for the venues that are selling tickets right now. Also, you know, get ready for Live Plus, another year of our subscription streaming service, which is a great way to watch all of our classes. You get to watch every, you know, not just Superbike and Super Sport, but Twins Cup, Junior Cup, Stock 1000, our entire series. And we're also going to have King of the Baggers again, and the Mini Cup that we recently announced. So we've got all kinds of riders and racing to watch this year. So Live Plus for that, and also on our broadcast networks, the Fox Sports channel. We're going to have a lot more programming on Fox FS1 and FS2 this year than we've had in the past. So lots of different ways to watch us, and to be there at our races is the best way to do it. So again, get those tickets by going on our website. And thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Peace.
Be safe.